Welcome to our GIS feature series, Conversation with our Ministers. On this program, we will hear about milestones and work completed during government's third year in office.
I am your host, GIS Information Officer Nadia James Harris, and joining me on this program is Premier and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honourable D. Orlando Smith, OBE. He's accompanied by Acting Permanent Secretary in the Premier's Office, Mr. Brodrick, Penn. On this program, we will be talking about some of the major work done by the Premier's Office throughout the government's third year in office. Premier Smith, this year has been a very busy year for government, especially in relation to a number of different sectors. Re-establishing and strengthening our international relationships has been one of your major priorities. As the territory's leader, you've led delegations to the Asia-Pacific region. You launched your OCTA chairmanship, among other initiatives. In your opinion, how has the territory fared in regards to our economic relationships, both regionally and internationally?
We've established for a long time that although BVI is a very small country, we're actually part of this global world, and hence we have to be, since we're part of it, we have to do what is necessary to play our part in the establishing relationships with other countries in the world. Speaking about, for example, the Asia-Pacific region, what we did is last year we established an office in Hong Kong. The reason for establishing an office in Hong Kong was because we do quite a lot of business, particularly in financial services with the Asia-Pacific region. We also know that our competitors also have offices in Hong Kong and are promoting their jurisdictions. It was important that as a major financial services jurisdiction, that we also continue to promote our jurisdiction to the best of our ability so that we can maintain that competitive advantage in areas where we do have an advantage, as well as trying to further promote what the other aspects of financial services in that region. And we did that office there in order to promote the jurisdiction from a financial services point of view, but also we have in mind also expanding that promotion activity beyond financial services to other matters of trade, including, of course, tourism and transshipment and other possible areas of trade between BVI and the Asia-Pacific region. In the same manner, for example, we visited Brazil to also promote the region as far as tourism and financial services are concerned. When it comes to the meetings we've had in relation to OCTA, this has happened because BVI was chosen as the chair of the Overseas Countries and Territories Association for this year, which means that we are the one chosen to represent all the overseas countries and territories of the United Kingdom, of the Netherlands, of France together, to represent them in and make their concerns to bring them more to the attention of the EU and the member states. We did this, of course, by having a meeting with the European Commission, first of all, in Europe, where we were able to speak about some of the concerns. And the program which we were promoting really was actually sustainability in the overseas territories, green growth and sustainability. And as well as having meetings in Europe with the Commission, where we spoke about our goals, we also had meetings in, for example, there was a meeting in Montserrat, which we attended, where we spoke to several of the other overseas territories about the goals and sought their opinions as to how we can further the goals that we wanted to bring to the attention of the EU member states.
Premier, you mentioned that you've been doing a lot of work to promote the financial services sector as part of building our economic relations. And we know that this year was a landmark year for the financial services sector. Can you just tell our listeners, our viewers, more about that and what has been done to really celebrate the financial services sector and to carry it forward?
Yes, this year was the 30th anniversary of the IBC. And the IBC is the act which actually launched the financial services sector back 30 years ago. Since that time, much has been done in the financial services industry as far as BVI is concerned, and it has been very of great benefit to the BVI. As a matter of fact, it has become very important to the BVI in that it contributes substantially to the finances of government and also to the activity in the country in terms of employment and other work-related activities. And so because of that importance, because of the significance, we thought it appropriate to have a celebration of its 30th anniversary. By celebrating it, we actually, of course, are also marketing and bringing more prominence to the services here in the BVI. Some of the things we did, for example, was to visit Hong Kong at the time of the 30th anniversary, where we had a reception. Again, at that reception, we invited members of the industry in Hong Kong to celebrate with us. And these are members who have been promoting BVI as a jurisdiction over many years and who have actually helped to propel the BVI to where we are as far as the financial services are concerned. So we were happy to celebrate the occasion with them. After that, of course, we had continued celebrations here in the BVI. There was a cocktail again with the members of the industry, who again were the active players in promoting the industry as far as financial services, the territory as far as financial services go. And also we had a demonstration of the history of the financial services, the IBC Act, and its progression over the years. This was actually a display that was in the Central Administration Complex. It was quite interesting, seeing those persons who were involved early at their young age and admiring the work that they did to put us on the map.
Premier Smith, going forward we've celebrated the third year of government in office, and going forward into the future, what are some of your expectations or some of your aspirations going forward in office?
When a party or government gets elected, their objective is to continue the economic development of the territory and to do this to the best of their ability, because the purpose of the government is to serve the people, and that means doing what you can to promote the economic development so that everybody can benefit. What we have done so far is we've done a lot of work as a government in all aspects. In health, for example, you would have heard my budget address where I outlined many of these things. What we expect to concentrate on going forward is to continue to build on the infrastructure. You would know, of course, of the cruise pier that's being developed now. That is important for the development of the tourism industry, because cruise does play an increasing role in tourism. And so in order to facilitate that industry, because of the larger ships, we're expanding our cruise pier. And we'll expect to see increased numbers of visitors by cruise after that is complete. This will, of course, benefit the entire country, but it'll be a specific interest to taxi drivers and tour operators, restaurateurs, who are well positioned, because the tourists, the visitors will be all over the place on the beaches and in Rotang, and they'll be, of course, visiting our establishments and being able to shop and take home souvenirs of their visit to the BVI. Of course, there's also, what we're also concerned about is our roads infrastructure, and this will receive quite a lot of attention. It is important that we have good roads to drive on, not merely for the comfort of our visitors, but also for ourselves. And so that is something that we are going to concentrate on. And we've allocated a fairly large part of the budget to be able to deal with the roads. The sewage system, another project which has already begun, which we hope to complete within the next 12 months or so. This is an issue which has been around for many years. Many governments have spoken about the need to have it fixed, but we have been able to begin to address that issue. I know that the residents of Eastern Longlook area will be happy to see its completion. I know that they're a little bit tired now of the state of the roads because of the work that's ongoing. But I'm sure that once the work is complete, they will be relieved that the roads are fixed, but also even happier that the sewage project is complete and that the present issue is gotten rid of.
We've just heard from Premier and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honourable D. Orlando Smith, OBE, as he recapped some of the government's work and major highlights during the government's third year in office. We'll now hear from the Acting Permanent Secretary in the Premier's office, Mr. Brodrick Penn. Permanent Secretary Penn, the Premier's office is the coordinating ministry for the government of the Virgin Islands. What are some of the efforts that have been taken to stimulate and fix our economy at the helm of the Premier's office?
There's a number of things that the Premier's office has done over the course of the past year or so to fix the economy of the BVI. I think in particular, one of the areas that the Premier's office focused on was the tourism sector within the economy. As a minister responsible for tourism, the Premier has a special mandate, or I should say he gave a special mandate to the Tourist Board to grow the tourism market by 10%. And they have been involved in a number of initiatives to try to achieve that. One of the key things that we've done was to address the issue of air transit, connecting passengers into the BVI. In September 2013, the government signed an agreement with a local partner, actually, to be able to provide what we call a concierge service to be able to transit persons from Antigua into the BVI. We paid special attention to this route because we recognized that we wanted to create a more efficient avenue for getting tourists into the BVI and other travelers that transit through Antigua from Europe. I think you'll be aware that Antigua is one of the main hubs for airlines flying into the Caribbean, and we thought it was appropriate that we should have in place as seamless as possible a service to be able to allow our visitors and other travelers to come to the BVI. So I think that was probably one of the crowning achievements in terms of stimulating the economy by providing reliable air access out of Antigua. And I think most importantly, it was done using a local air carrier to facilitate that. So even from that perspective, you see, we anticipate that there will be direct flows to the economy because, frankly, a local airline is benefiting from that arrangement. Staying to the tourism front, we've also decided to look further afield from our traditional markets. Traditionally, we see a lot of our visitors coming from North America, but one of the focuses of the Tourist Board has also been to look at the emerging markets, and in particular to look at emerging markets in Latin America. The government positioned itself to be able to have a representative office down in Brazil, and the idea behind that office is to be able to service the Latin American region. We expect that with that office, we'd be in a position to be able to communicate with our Latin market and try to develop that market much further. Sticking to the tourism side, we also looked at new initiatives to try and help the small properties to attract visitors. Very often the small properties are not advertised as well as they should. And so this government, with the help of the Tourist Board, put in place a renewed small business program, if you like, in order to be able to create a booking engine for persons that might be looking to find a property in the BVI to be able to stay. And what they've done is that they've created this feature so that small businesses can actually have that level of reachability that would not ordinarily be afforded to them. So I think those are probably three of the key things that have been done in the tourism space as it relates to stimulating the economy.
P.S. Penn, there is a very close connection between tourism and small businesses. Even in the economy, entrepreneurships, small businesses. This has also been a key factor within the Premier's office. What has been done to stimulate and encourage the growth of small businesses throughout the Virgin Islands?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you would know that small businesses are effectively the lifeblood of any economy. I think this is something that the Premier's office recognizes. And the Small Business Bureau is our avenue to actually facilitating the growth and development of those small businesses. This administration and this Premier relaunched the Small Business Bureau. We call it the National Business Bureau now. And what we did in relaunching that bureau is that we created effectively a more dedicated unit within the trade and investment promotions department to effectively see after the needs of small businesses. But more importantly, we decided to provide access to capital for the small businesses. Small businesses cannot grow without capital, without expertise, without resources, etc. And this government created effectively a loan guarantee program that would allow small businesses that qualify to be able to have a government guarantee through the National Bank of the Virgin Islands to have access to capital. And so far that program has been fairly successful. I don't know the exact figures, but I do know that over $1 million of guaranteed funds have been provided to small businesses. And these small businesses operate in a range of spaces. You're right, some of them operate in the tourism space, but there are others that operate in the agriculture space, in the financial services space. Effectively, the potential is unlimited. But what that does is that it makes sure that you have access to capital as well as you have ongoing support for the development of your small businesses. And key to the ongoing support is training. The Bureau has been able to do a very successful training program. They call it the Power Move Academy. Again, it's done for entrepreneurs that are interested in developing their skills, interested in developing their competence in running small businesses. I was present at a graduation ceremony and I was fairly excited to see the number of persons that actually participated in that program. I think there was some close to 50 graduates from that program. So through that training program, we were able to impart some knowledge, help to develop greater competence with some 50 persons that are interested in running small businesses or actually in favor of doing small businesses right now. So I think those are two key things that has happened in the small business space, and I think it's doing well in terms of stimulating the economy.
I've been your host, GIS Information Officer Nadia James Harris. And on this program, I've been speaking with Premier and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honourable D. Orlando Smith, OBE, and Acting Permanent Secretary in the Premier's Office, Mr. Brodrick Penn. On this program, we discussed some of the major highlights of the work done for the government through the Premier's Office. This included the territory's economic relationships regionally and internationally, initiatives taken by the government to stimulate our economy, particularly in the area of tourism, and what the government has done to promote the growth of small businesses.
You have been watching our GIS feature series that provided you an insider's perspective on government's third year in office. We invite you to also log on to bvi.gov.vg and view our e-magazine titled Your Government at Work. On our next program, we will hear from the Deputy Premier and the Minister for Natural Resources and Labour, Dr. the Honourable Brodrick D. Pickering.